Hi, this is Sean Bodley with Clear Technologies, and in a joint partnership with the ITSO, I'm about to demonstrate how to perform a non-disruptive upgrade from PowerHA version 7.1.3 to PowerHA version 7.2. But first, let me give an overview of my demo cluster. First, I have PowerHA 7.1.3 with the latest fix pack SP3 on AIX 7.1.4. After the upgrade, I will have PowerHA 7.2.0 on the same AIX level 7.1.4. Now this is a key thing to note, that in order to perform a non-disruptive upgrade, your AIX level must already support the version of PowerHA you're upgrading to. Now in this case, 7.2.0 is the first version since pre-version 7 to support non-disruptive upgrades. So this is a very key point. If you have to upgrade AIX to upgrade PowerHA, you can't do it in a non-disruptive fashion, at least not yet, because anytime you put on a TL or SP or perform a migration on AIX, you're going to have to reboot the OS, which means it's no longer disruptive. So I have a single hot standby cluster. I have a 2-node cluster, DB2 and web, with a single service IP address and a single volume group. You can see my cluster topology listed here below, but nothing is going to change. We're just going to have the cluster active while we perform the update, and I'll show you the status. So let me go over the steps to perform a non-disruptive upgrade. Now, the important thing to note is that you perform all these steps on one node from start to finish. Then you repeat on the next node. So first thing we're going to do is stop the cluster using the unmanage the resource group option. This will actually stop the cluster monitoring but leave the resources alone. Then we will perform an update all to get to the latest version of PowerHA, which in this case is version 7.2. Once that is completed, I will turn around and restart the cluster services, leaving the default of auto manage the resource groups, and then I will repeat on the other node in the cluster. So it's pretty straightforward. This is a feature that was around in pre-version 7 releases of HA from about 5.4.1 to about 6.1, and it has come back now in 7.2. So before I actually give the demo, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick references here. There is a link to the PowerHA wiki, which has links to a lot of these demos, a lot of documentation, red books, etc. Hopefully that is very useful. And you may be watching this video on my YouTube channel anyway, but if you're not, just in case, there is my YouTube channel, and of course feel free to follow me on Twitter. So let me switch over to my cluster. Okay, this is my cluster, and you can see that it was stable. I'm running version 7.1.3 SP3. The top node is DB2, the bottom is web. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually perform the update on the standby node, which is pretty common, so I'm changing the option to unmanage the resource groups. And in this case, I only have the one. So you can see the status up top that it's already completed. Still says everything is stable, but the resource group is unaffected. It's still online on the primary node on DB2. So I'm just showing you the same information on the second one. You can see CLRG info still says that it's online. You can also look at the cluster manager ES. Really doesn't show you anything special there, not too different than what you would see under normal circumstances. So now I'll scroll back down here, I'll get back, and I will switch over to my directory that I can perform the update from. I just happen to have the images on a NFS mount. So I'm going to switch over to my MNT directory. There's my updates. I always do a preview anytime I perform updates. I also get in the habit to always accept new license. Now in this case, since it's a new version, you probably have to accept new license anyway. Several times I accept new license. It's not required, but it's just a good practice to stay in. So in this case, the preview came back okay. So I'm going to let this run. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, but you can see that on my primary node, I'm just showing that my AIX level is indeed 714. And while this is going on, you can see that it's registering that web has somewhat disappeared. It says it's not showing a status of it being stable, and that's because the main cluster ES server RTE is being updated. So the main cluster manager will also be recycled. Okay, so this is getting close to getting finished. You can see that only took about a full minute to actually perform the update. You can see that now the second node web is showing back in the init state. It's no longer showing stable, so I will restart the cluster services, pretty much leave the defaults of what they were last time it was started. Now it's rejoining the cluster, and at this point it's going to be a mixed cluster. I'll show you on the status on the second system down here that we just upgraded that it will show that it has 720. So it says stable, but it says 720. So we're now in a mixed cluster. Don't ever sync or make cluster changes while you are in a mixed environment. So now I'm ready to do the same thing on the primary node. Ideally, you should probably wait a minute or two between each one of these steps to make super sure that everything is stable. But in this case, I'm repeating. You can see that I did the unmanaged, and now it actually shows in the status an unmanaged state for the resource group. So it still says stable, but it knows that the resource group is unmanaged. You can also see this in CLRG info. They all report that it's unmanaged. And again, you can check cluster manager information as well. You'll still see that it says stable, but the resource group is unmanaged. So now I'm going to perform the update on the primary node of DB2. Same thing. I will do a preview and accept new license, give it a quick run, make sure it doesn't have any complaints, and then I turn around and run it for real. And again, this will take about a full minute in my environment for this update to complete. But again, you can see once it hit the server RTE that now we've gone down into the init state, and now it's already done. Now I actually paused that for a minute to make that video go by a little faster, but now I'm just restarting the cluster with the auto manage option, and you can see that it's registering that the node is rejoining. And if I check the log, which actually if I can type it in quick enough, which we may not make it, actually it's just now finishing, says node up complete and stable. Now in the grand scheme of things, in my environment, because I don't have a very complex environment and there is no stopping and restarting of the application, this only took me about 6 minutes to perform the whole thing. So I'm just showing here that you can see that I now have the 720 file sets installed and that the QHA status reports 720. You can see that my test file system is still up, my data volume group is still online. It's online in full read-write mode as I would expect. And you can see that my service IP address, which if I can type, let's get netstat going on here. There we go. And you can see I've got HA service. So at no point did my cluster resources go offline. Going to conclude this demonstration. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at the address provided at the opening slide. And as always, thanks for watching.